Okay, hello, thank you. Yes, thank you. So, actually, I graduated from the University of Queensland last year, and today what I'm going to present is my master thesis, part of my master thesis. Yes, and now I'm working as a second language teacher in Brisbane, Australia now. Yes.
Welcome, welcome.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
You'll have to start your presentation.
Yes. So, can I share my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes. So. Can you see the screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. So good night or afternoon, everyone, because my place is not now.
I think
So
I think you're right. Innovation is not correct. Innovation, not innovation.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
yes. The jet lag, I think.
Later on now.
Yes. So it's 11:30 my place. Okay, so today, yes. Sorry.
The floor is yours. You have to start your presentation.
Yeah, okay, good. So yes, I'm so happy and glad to be here. And my study that I'm gonna introduce today concerns the beliefs of rural primary teachers about communicative language teaching transformation in North China. Okay, so these are my outlines. So I'm gonna start with my background and aims of my research. So this is the first part. So I want to start with the introducing the primary English education in rural China. So English and Chinese and Math are three principal subjects in China's compulsory education considered by students, by parents, by everyone in China. So that's why English is kind of an important subject. And a kind of problem is that it's still occupied by traditional methods in those kind of classrooms and forms, of course, here, like teacher-fronted or teacher-centered. And another status quo in China is that in primary or in compulsory educational situations is that exam-oriented learning scheme is quite popular and welcomed and still predominated, sorry. And some new policies recently are being implemented from a top-down conduction manners. So, for example, like the double reduced policy and also new curriculum standard reform. And here, after talking about the background, I'm going to introduce some research gaps here. So there are not enough focus have been put on the China's primary foreign language education level, especially in rural areas. And also, teaching approaches and language policies that mentioned, they are come along with the new policies and new things. So this still need to be explored as a kind of hotspot now. So this is the research aim of this study, is to investigate the in-service rural teachers' belief about novel teaching approaches, especially those kind of communicative or task-based or supported ones in North China. And rural area is the main focus because China is quite large, and I will explain the reason why in this part. So the second part, methodology. So the location, as you mentioned, is a rural area situated in North China City. So because China is, as I mentioned, is quite large, so different regions, different parts has different situations and different status codes. So I just narrow my focus to this area. And as for the participants in this research, So 6 teachers were involved because this is just a part of my master thesis, as I introduced at the beginning. So they were selected from the previous online questionnaire survey, and the 2 standards applied to recruit these teachers in this interview stage. Like they should have experience in rural English teaching in primary schools there, and also they should be in service, so that they know the current situation of how well the policy is developing in the in the targeted area. And also, as the instrument is semi-structured interviews, so 16 questions were prepared for each participant here. So that you can see, like, because these are semi-structured interviews, so different teachers may have different additional or compromised compromised questions. So that's why, like, different teachers had different time lengths. Like some teachers just took 30 minutes, but some teachers took longer. And for the data analysis here, so of course, started with the interviews. So those interviews were conducted online and one-to-one between myself and those interviewees. And because most of teachers expressed that they didn't have enough confidence to talk and discuss and answer in English, so we conducted in Chinese Mandarin, and all the interviews were audio recorded. And those audio recordings were like transcribed by an automatic tool and double-checked and revised by me. And then just to make everything clear, I just tidy up the layout of the documents. And then the next step was translating. So and also similarly, an automatic tool was used to translate those transcripts from Chinese to English, and also double checked by my supervisor, who is a Chinese English translation professional. So it's kind of reliable enough. And then the next step is coding, because these are like semi-structured interviews. So semantic analysis is a good way to analyze the data. And after reading over, then I just started my coding work. And based on the 2 things, like teaching, practice, and also influencing factors to this kind of new policies implementation in the local, in the target area. And finally, 341 codes were coded. And then final step for the data analysis was classifying, full categorize, identified basic cognitions of those teachers, policy implementation in the target area, teacher agency and training, and also teacher suggestions. Okay, and then the next part, I would like to show you some results. Although today I'm mainly focused on the interview part, but first of all, I would like to introduce some survey results, which shows the basic stages those local teachers can help us better understand the coming information of those interview information. So like the first pie chart here, it shows the age groups of those teacher participants here. So you can see, like, in this right circle here, the teacher's age was mainly gathered between 25 years old to 39. So we can see most of teachers are in there before their mid-age and are kind of strong and young. And then the next pie chart here is about the teaching experience of those teachers. So here, the main, like, totally more than almost 60% of teachers had like 1 to 10 years teaching experience before. And then some other teachers, no teachers taught less than 1 year, but most teachers, like some teachers had quite long teaching experience. For example, here, like some teachers had more than 30 years. And then the final bar chart here is about the self-evaluation given by those teachers in during the survey. So you can see like most teachers just evaluated themselves as level 5. So this is based on the Chinese standards of English level ability scales. So you can see it's just level 5 is just intermediate level, and level 6 is upper intermediate level. So you can see most of skills, they just evaluated themselves as intermediate users. But an interesting thing here is like teachers mainly consider their reading skill the best, like kind of upper intermediate level. And after doing some basic like information collection, teachers were also asked to do some self-evaluation or self-judgment of their teaching method preference and also actual use. So you can see like the blue bars are personal preference and the orange bars are actual use. As kind of also interesting here is that they evaluated 2 aspects, personal preference and actual use, almost the same for each group, for each methodology here. So there are 2 possibilities given here. So one reason might be that there is a congruence between teachers' beliefs and practices. So that's why like teachers maybe just follow what they believe. And another possibility here is that because those are just done by just teachers subjectively, so maybe they have some misconceptions about the theories, or they have misrecognized their teaching practices. Okay, and then after talking about this basic survey information, I'm gonna introduce the results of interviews. So as I mentioned, there are 4 categories for codes. So let's start with the first one, which is the basic cognition. So you can see here, like for the basic cognition, most teachers, they had already known something about those kind of new communicative approaches, like the red circles here, like maybe language about the maybe like English learning is about the language awareness or social functions, not just to focus on the structures, linguistics, and also group or pair work should be used, and also like the meaning conveyance between the students during the tasks are very important. And here like a situational teaching or like this one is kind of a typical task-based language teaching trait. Like students should use their own repertoires for language communication, but some negative opinions also exist here. Like, oh, okay, some teachers, they don't have quite clear understanding of those theories and methodologies, for example. Like, I don't know much about it. So maybe communicative teaching means I just need to communicate it more with students. And some other teachers said, okay, my understanding is quite shallow. I don't know is that. Maybe it's just about speaking. And for the policy implementation perceived by those teachers, some teachers held very positive attitudes to the new approaches. For example, here, all teaching approaches are being improved together by the new policies. And students have strong abilities to accept, so they're happy to use and try the new ways that we used in the classroom. But for this one, more negative opinions like given by those teachers. For example, like these policies were conducted limitedly because exam dominant education or assessing system will impede the conduction of the new policies. And also some teachers, because they misunderstand the policies, or they don't really know what is the new policy or new approaches. So they misuse those things and cause some low effectiveness and efficiencies. And she just said, including herself, the new things are not quite clear for most of teachers. And then the number 3, the third point is about the teacher agency and training. And this one is really welcomed for those teachers. They were glad to talk about these points. Like teachers acknowledge that they have certain flexibility, but like here, a little change or just a robust guide function, and teacher free to take any feasible measures in teaching, but many limits exist in their practices. They have to follow what their higher hierarchies taught them, or they have to follow the new or the old curriculum standards. And also for the training, every teacher had experience in the previous teaching experience, and also they're very glad to get more trained in the future, like projects, because they can learn something more, they can improve themselves, and also they learned, and it's very important for teachers to have reflexivity if they want to improve themselves and really apply those new approaches effectively. And then the final part is similar to the last point. Like teachers were glad to give suggestions for the future development of the policies, and just three categories.
Only 5 minutes left.
Okay, good, thank you. Yes, so here, like for the training, so for the teacher development, teacher needs more training and regular training. And also teachers need to improve themselves and need more time to explore, and also like the variety of students levels and students situation, and also teachers should be flexible of using these methods rather than strictly stick to the rules. And also for the language context, teachers mentioned that it's very important for students to use the target language rather than just to learn the target language, and family is a very important factor and consideration. And also for the policies and materials, teachers also mentioned some like useful opinions, such as the change of course book, and also the starting time of functioning should be advanced. And then here are the basic situation of local teachers that we mentioned. They're young, they're developing, so they still have chance to explore and accept the new, and even contribute to the new policy making, if they can. Okay, and then the factors influencing the implementation. So like for teachers competence and teachers familiarity with the new series, and also teacher should be entitled more like agency and flexibility. And also for students, also similarly, preference will impede the communicative or the task related methods. And then students sometimes they have low motivation because the sudden change could cause some problems to them. And also for the context and culture here, students need more opportunities to use, and parents should change their mind rather than just focusing on the test scores. And teachers honored and esteemed status in China's traditional culture causes problem to change the teacher-centered situation now. And also for the institution policies, as we mentioned, teacher training, and teachers should be more flexible and get more time for teaching rather than administrative and extra work. And also, yes, the exam-oriented assessment system influenced a lot. So the final part, there's three implications given or just discovered from this research is the localization and contextualization of the teaching methods are very important. And also teachers' voice. Teachers should be involved in policymaking because they are really practitioners and they really know how well are this policy used. And then parents and new role should be considered because in China's context, the parents play a very important role in students' study and language development. And there's some limitations such as the only subjective research instrument used and very limited sample size and variables. And also because China is quite large, as I mentioned, so it lacks of generalization regarding the large area and regional gaps in China. And then some expectations based on the current study findings are given here. The first one is like some objective method should be used, for example, classroom observation to triangulate the results and findings. And then like the possibility and practicality of the eclecticism to balance the traditional ways and the new ways maybe is the better way for Chinese language teaching. And then the studies in different areas in China and other contexts. So as I mentioned, yeah, different areas to have different situations. So this is significant. And then parents' role should be given more focus in the coming or in the future studies or future research. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions? I'm here to
Yes.